Everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Matt, Christy, Alonzo, Tom Ford is back. The couturier turned filmmaker returns with his second feature film, Nocturnal Animals.
Yes, Nocturnal Animals and Where to Find Them. So Amy Adams is a very wealthy and stylish and sophisticated gallery owner, or is she a curator? Anyway, something in the art world, is very esteemed, and she's married to Armie Hammer, and they have a beautiful and very opulent life. And then one day she gets a package in the mail, and it's a manuscript from her ex-husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. It's the novel he has finally written that he always wanted to write, and it's called Nocturnal Animals. And it goes back and forth between Amy Adams reading the book and then the events of the book. And you begin to wonder what's real life, what is inspired by real life, what's pure fiction, and psychologically they bleed into each other, and it is riveting. Take a look.
My ex-husband used to call me a nocturnal animal.
I didn't know you had an ex-husband.
I've been thinking about him a lot lately. And then recently he sent me this book that he's written. It's violent and it's sad. And he dedicated it to me.
Did you love him?
I did something horrible to him.
I love this movie. Like,
yes.
Way high on my top 10 list. I love it, and not just because it's gorgeous, which it is, and
yes.
he's not just a meticulous stylist, which he is, and so the clothes and the makeup and the interiors are all just like, oh, you want to just go and jump into them. But it's not just that.
Yeah, because the thing
it's also storytelling, and it's edited so beautifully, and it's so seamless the way it goes back and forth between what's in the book and what's happening in real life, and it does keep you guessing, and it's so tense, and what happens so often in both situations, and what it does so beautifully is it really keeps you on your toes, because so frequently when you watch a movie that relies on a flashback structure, you can like time your watch to when it's going to happen. Someone will look out of a window and like, boom, we're in Japan or whatever it is. Here it's like you don't know when it's coming, and yet it's so seamless, and it's just beautifully made, beautifully written, beautifully acted. I was dazzled the whole way through.
Yeah, well, like just listening to you describe the whole thing of she's reading the book, and then we get the book. I think, oh man, that sounds terrible, but he does it really well. And the thing about Tom Ford is, I think after his career up to date, including a Single Man, people think that it's going to be another book with like sad people in nice houses, and it's half that.
It is that, yeah.
But then when you get to the story,
there's also shitty houses.
Well, yeah, when you get to the story within the book, suddenly you're in this like Sam Peckinpah movie. It's this like gritty kind of Dallas, Texas revenge tale, and they're out in the desert, and Michael Shannon is a sheriff, and
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is a very creepy psychopath who I've never liked him all that much before. But he's great in this. It goes into this territory where like, okay, this is not a Tom Ford movie that I was expecting to get, but it works really well, and the going back and forth really works, and how they feed into each other. This movie kind of is the ultimate acknowledgement that what's her face looks just like Amy Adams. Isla Fisher looks exactly like Amy Adams, and they use that to interesting effect. I think this movie's great.
It reminded me of Mulholland Drive in some ways, and that might be a stretch. It might sound like sacrilege, but the way in which it toys with truth and reality and storytelling and what's real and what's not, and as you say, you have the Amy Adams, Isla Fisher dichotomy there, and that's kind of trippy. I should mention, Tom Ford is smart enough to know that even when you make Aaron Taylor Johnson a homicidal rapist, he's still sexy as hell, so you have to have him naked sitting on a toilet. Even him taking a shit in the outdoors is really, really hot. I'm sorry. And that's not my thing. It's not my thing, but he's like muscular and beautiful, and Tom Ford is smart enough to know what he's working with.
I'm not yes-anding this. but point taken.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Please change the subject.
How do I follow that?
It's not my thing. It's not my fetish. It's really
Michael Shannon is
oh my god,
great in everything.
Owns this
so
movie.
good.
He's so good. Like this is another character like we said about, like I was talking about Dan Fogler. I kind of want a whole movie about Michael Shannon's character in this movie. He's this Texas Ranger that's ill and has run out of fucks to give, and adds a really interesting layer to the story of what's in the novel. We haven't talked about Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays kind of this dual role. We see him flashbacks. He's the ex-husband, but he's also the main character
in the novel.
And it goes back and forth, and you see him as this man who is desperately worried about his wife and his daughter, and then you see him in the middle of this relationship with younger Amy Adams.
Oh yeah, you get flashbacks
forgot
to
about
their
that, too.
to their
Right.
relationship
You get
too.
flashbacks
Yeah.
to their relationship, and this is a fascinating movie. It's really interesting. The tension escalates as it jumps around to different time periods and whether or not you're in the fictional story or the real story, and you do get these points where as you're in the middle of the movie, you're wondering, are the events of the book something that actually happened, or is it a fictional narrative completely?
Yeah, what is this guy exercising
Right.
about his marriage to
Right.
Amy
Is it
Adams?
his revenge on her?
And what's
Yeah.
great is the way this script is laid out is it does this terrific job of building on the tension. Like every time, and you talked about how you don't know when the scenes are going to switch to a different time period or a different scene. This one actually uses that kind of uncertainty to build the tension because it gives you these little pieces of like, oh, that's how they got to that previous scene. And the payoff, I think, in this film is terrific. It's devastating. I really am impressed with this movie.
Yeah.
This will be a much argued about ending, I think.
I love the ending.
Oh, I do too.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'll mention really fast. Also, Laura Linney.
Yeah.
In exactly one scene
yes.
is like deliciously, perfectly coiffed and evil, and
Right.
and
Like
does so
society
much.
lady, yeah.
Does so much in just like even the first couple lines.
Yeah.
Just to establish who this woman is.
She gives great withering.
Yeah, and so she plays Amy Adams' mom in the flashbacks to reality that take place here, and just like perfectly coiffed and just devastating.
Now, you're very good about reading the book beforehand. Did you read the novel this
No.
is based on? Okay, no,
did
I'm
not.
just curious. Me neither. I'm kind of curious to check it out now.
Right, how do they use that same kind of time hopping structure? But yeah, Tom Ford has not made a movie in 7 years, and I hope
really?
he keeps making more because it would be easy to dismiss him as like, oh, he's just setting up like magazine spreads and bringing them to life. But it's so much more than that in terms of like the depth and the complexity of the storytelling going on
Yeah.
here and the performances he gets out of these people, and I loved it. It's great.
He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, I don't know if this is for everyone. I'm not sure. It's kind of nihilistic and dark.
It is, but I loved it.
But I loved it too. So
They're
my
nihilist,
number,
Donnie.
my number is a 9.8. I'm super high on this. This will be way up on my top 10 list this year.
8.5. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I give it a 9. It's terrific.
Okay, so our number is a 9.1.
It is at 75% on the tomato meter.
Dude, that's
What?
no.
some haters out there.
I don't know what that's about, but I don't know where it's opening this week. Is it just New York and LA?
Yeah.
Might be.
Is it
yeah.
wider? If it
Keep
comes
an eye
anywhere
out.
near you, if you want something that's just going to challenge you and dazzle you, as
And
beautifully acted.
ideally, you do want to see it on the big screen because
Yes.
his eye for composition is pretty great.
Seamus McGarvey is your cinematographer who shot
yes.
Atonement and Anna Karenina and shot the Aaron Taylor Johnson Godzilla and shot the first Avengers movie. So it's gorgeous.
all right then.
Take a look. Bye-bye.